Yes! Yes! I'm gonna love the shit out of this one! Woo! Oh! That is fucking glorious! So the dev server has finally dropped for the Fire and Ice update, and with it comes not too many new vehicles, enough to make it a worthwhile update, but not really enough to say that this is going to be something that changes the entirety of War Thunder. But what it does do is it brings in a new nation under an already existing one. Now, before I go ahead and get started, just a quick word of, well, disclaimer, I guess. Everything you're seeing here is subject to change. This is the dev server. Values might change, armor values, sabo types, just vehicles being introduced in general are subject to change. There are some missing vehicles here, and also I might miss out some things. I know there has been some updated models to the IS-1, IS-2, to the Panther, the Yak Panther, excuse me, and other vehicles for that matter, but instead I'm only going to cover all of the new stuff being introduced, and there might be a chance where I missed something. I triple checked everything, but I may have missed something, so please bear with me here, okay? All right, so with all of that being said, let's go ahead and get started with, of course, the big ol' US of A, and with it, a vehicle that has been, at least for me, very much, well, I guess late, maybe better late than never kind of thing. Yeah, the M1A2 SEP. That is right, the SEP variant. Now, keep in mind, your vehicle when you first get this is not going to look like this. Instead, it's going to look like this. Like a regular old M1A2 with a little bit of some aesthetic change, but for the most part, this is a brand new Abrams in the game, one for which that really makes things worthwhile, in my opinion. You get extra 50 cals, right? You get armor up here, which doesn't matter. This won't really catch fragmentation rounds, but I'll say the details for this vehicle a little bit later in a separate video, which you should see a little bit later today. So, still, with this, you do get Gen 2 thermal sights. That's the biggest change on this. Finally, Gen 2 thermal sights everywhere. It's awesome. And so when it comes to other additions, we do get a premium. This one right here, the A1H. This is very unique because it is the only prop that I'm aware of that has flares. You have a 6.3 prop with flares. That is unusual, isn't it? Just to me anyways. I knew this thing already had flares, but it just, in War Thunder at this BR, there's not too many, you know, air-to-air missiles that'll come at you that will lock onto this thing anyway, so it's kind of an unusual thing, at least for War Thunder, but of course you get miniguns, you get bombs, you get everything you would want with this thing. Absolutely cool. Really nice to have this. So let's go ahead and jump over to the next nation, which is Germany. To my German mains out there, I'm terribly sorry to say, there's really nothing new here. We have this thing, which I cannot pronounce, so please don't try to make me pronounce it. A little chode of a gun, absolutely beautiful. Battle rating 1.3, and that is honestly really it. You do get heat rounds, you do get APCBC and fragmentation, but that's, you know, just kind of is what it is, I guess. And also, you get a boat. That's right, you get a boat. Cool. Not super exciting to the whole 30 people who play naval. More power to you. I'm sorry to say. So with that being said, let's go over and jump over to, do the Russians get anything new? I think they do. Let's find out. So unfortunately, the Russians, at least from the time of this video's recording, gets nothing. They do get a couple of updated models. As you can see right here, the IS-1 gets a new model, which looks very nice in my opinion. And then the IS-2 also gets a new updated model. This green is very green. It's disgusting, but it kind of is what it is. There's nothing else to really say about this outside of some new existing sounds, or new sounds, new models, etc. So with that being said, let's go over to, well, one you saw at the very beginning in Great Britain. Now, that reaction you saw at the very beginning was most certainly genuine. That was the first time I ever saw it. I was kind of confused on how to use this thing, but we do get a crocodile. The Churchill crocodile, to be very exact. It with limited range with the flamethrower, and also, I don't believe this is a tech tree vehicle in terms of like where you can buy it, because I think it's a battle pass one. I could be entirely wrong. I was told it is. I don't know personally, so I'm not going to say you can get this and buy it. I'm only assuming it is a Battle Pass vehicle. Again, I could be wrong. Bear with me here. If you can buy it, absolutely. That flamethrower is worth every penny, in my opinion. Yeah. Oh, I'm excited for this one. All right, and then, excuse me, and then we have the Boss Vark. That's right, cool. When are we getting the Toyotas? I'm telling you, man, when are we getting those, Syrian Toyota with the ZSU 23, or not ZSU, with the 23 millimeter, or the 50 cal, or the recoilless rifles? Come on, I mean, we're getting close to it, right? We have this thing, Stervik, etc., and it's also got 4 crew members, 2 loaders in the back, and they look really weird, look like clones, man. So, beautiful. There you have it. So, without further ado, let's jump over to the Japanese, which I'm sorry to say you might be a little disappointed with. Japan only gets 2 things that I can find. I know there's, I think, a Type 10 prototype or something they talked about. I didn't see the dev server stuff, or the dev streams. Bear with me here, okay, guys? I'm playing in the dark right now. They don't have anything else outside of a premium T2, which does get AIM-9Es. It does get some ordnance. I wouldn't really trust it, to be honest. It kind of is what it is. But AIM-9Es, 9.7, yikes. That's all I really got to say. But hey, you guys get a new premium, better than the little sushi saber, I would call it. And that's right, I would call it the sushi saber. And I'm glad they moved that down to 9.0, because 9.3, it suffered a bit. So, aside from that, we also get the Fuso. It's a big boat. It's a really big boat with a lot of guns. That's all I can say about it. When it comes to me and naval, I am very much not well versed in this kind of stuff. But my goodness, look at all those guns. It's so nice. I want this. I'm not going to grind for it, but I want it. Gaijin, please. So, there you go to my whole, again, 32 naval players out there, which is a joke, by the way. Don't get all upset with me by that. There you go. You got the Fuso. Enjoy it. Cool. Awesome. Now, up next is the Chinese, and they get something very interesting. China only gets one thing, but one thing that is incredibly, I wouldn't really say unique, but very, very nice to have. The Tor M1, or the M1 Tor. I forget how to say it, to be honest. This is, in my opinion, one of the most unique SPAAs currently in War Thunder, or at least that's going to be coming. You do get infrared search and track, which is very nice. You do get these very unique missiles, which they are the 9M331s. What this is that there's no info on the stat card. Okay, this is, take it with a huge grain of salt. They're supposed to have, I think, a 16-kilometer range. I think it is, okay? Don't quote me on that, please. How the missiles work is it shoots up, like they get launched, and then it ignites, and then it goes towards its target. Unfortunately, you won't be able to engage targets very close to you. You can probably top down some players, some tanks, etc. I would not advise you do that. Instead, play this thing like an SPAA. But like how you have with the other, say, the STRV-81 with the RBT missiles, I think it's called, just the missiles on it, right? You have to kind of allow it to fly forward just a little bit before it gets into a straight line. Kind of the same thing with this thing too. So this is going to be your committed SPAA vehicle. No thermal sights, unfortunately. That might be subject to change, and that is really it. You get the best missiles for it, stock, and also you have no armor. 9mm, 6, yeah, do not get 50 cal. That is, stay out of sight. You're huge. Stay out of sight. Cool, but I'm glad China's getting something. So, with that being said, let's jump over to, I think we're going to skip the Italians. Yeah, I'm sorry for that skip, guys. The Italians got nothing. Absolutely nothing this update, which is a shame. But the French get one thing that I could find, and that is the Centaur. This is basically the Type 93, just with less elevation on it. You do fire Mistral air-to-air, or surface-to-air missiles. These are fire and forget. They're not really that good, 12G overload. It's just, if you know how to play the Type 93, the missiles on this are a little bit more reliable. But it is on the platform, the same platform as the Mephisto, etc., which means that this thing is going to be very fast. But you don't really have much of an efficient system, I would think. But at 9.3, it is not terrible at all. You're going to have to use this thing correctly. We'll talk more about that as we get into the actual live server stuff a little bit later. I won't make a committed video for this, but you can see this in the live streams over on Twitch should you want to. Cool, awesome. That's all they get. So let's go ahead and jump over to the absolute star of this update, Sweden. Now, Sweden got the good end of the deal. They're getting Finland and all of their vehicles. Now, there are some missing ones. Okay, the 2A6 is in here. I believe there's some other vehicles in here that aren't shown quite yet. But I'm going to go ahead and show you what we do have in kind of quick succession here. Okay, so with that being said, here we have a 1.7 T28. You guys should know this. This vehicle's been around the game for years now. So there you have it. We do have a T34 model 1941 with a shrink-a-ding 76mm. That driver's port must be impenetrable, so keep that in mind. You do have the Panzer IV-J. This is at least from to my knowledge, a late war Panzer IV. And it looks like it because it's ugly. Just damn. Looks like they left this thing in a bog and they just retrieved it. So there you have it. 3.7, 5.3. You get the generic PT-76B, which recently did get a buff, so 5.8 seconds reload. I think you can increase that to a bit more, I would well imagine, to 5 seconds, which is very nice. This is what you would expect for 5.3. And the next up, we have the Comet 1 at 5.7. Nothing special. You get APDS, as usual, right? If you know how to play the regular Comet in the British tech tree, this thing is exactly the same, except that it is now in the Swedish tech tree. Excuse me, English, pretty hard apparently. So next up, the venerable T-3485 without its skirts right here, the mud flaps. Just, it looks ugly. I don't like it. I really don't. But you do get the T-3485, which is very nice. And next up, we have the Charioteer. Charioteer. I can't say it. What is up with my English today, man? It is bad. You guys know this. 6.3. You get a Sabo type. You get a solid shot that has good post-penetration, post-penetration effect. You know what I mean. See, English, really hard. You know this thing. And up next, we have the T-54 Model 1951. I said Model 54 in my previous video, which was the quick little overview of the dev, or at least the new vehicles coming in. This is the 51 version. This is exactly as you would expect for the T-54, right? BR412D. You get APCR. Cool. Awesome. Heat FS, APDS, so on and so forth. If you know how to play the 771 over in the Russian tech tree, this is exactly the same. Cool. And next up, we have the T-72M1, which is basically a T-72A with a 1981 plate. This is the extra armor plate up here, which can do well against M735 and I think even DM23, but I would not rely on that at all. This is through and through a T-72A. I will do a private video on this a little bit later, or not a private, excuse me, a public one, in its own committed, dedicated video. Cool, awesome. 3BM22, laser rangefinder. This is through and through a basic T-72A that is now outside of Russia, which is very nice, which means that sim is going to be very complicated now. Also, they do get a T-80U squadron vehicle, which is not in the game currently, so bear with me here, okay? And next up, we have the Leopard 2A4. It's a 2A4, just with a little lunchbox up here. That's what people call it. It's a lunchbox. Structural steel doesn't help in protection. Don't rely on it, but it is a 2A4 through and through. DM12 stock grind heat FS, DM13 tier 1 modification, tier 4 DM23. This is again a 2A4 through and through. And also we do have some aircraft, right? We have the J34, which is just a Hunter with AIM-9B equivalent RB-24s, which is okay for the most part, but 9.3 Hunter. That's it. Pretty much. Also, there are some other ones which I couldn't fit in my lineup. We do have the Fokker DX, you know, the D21, I guess, whatever, cool. Numerical stuff, hard for me. JU88A4, the BF109G2, and the Vampire FB52A. This is the generic Vampire you would find in the British tech tree. So if you guys know how to play that thing, you can play this thing as well. So now let's go ahead and jump over to the final nation, which they did get something, and that is Israel. And last, but most certainly not least, Israel did get a couple of new vehicles, only SPAAs, which is very nice. They've been needing them. I've been complaining about it left and right. The mock bet is just yikes, which it does now get a bit of reinforcement. We do have this right here. This is basically the M16, but instead you get 20 millimeters and the commander, who apparently is resting his balls on the back of this guy's neck because he is just standing up there prominent, just holy crap, you're gonna be the first one to die. Just saying. But yeah, massive balls, right? 20 millimeter, you do get, of course, wrong we're supposed to look at that. Yeah, we'll get to that in just a quick second, right? API, 51mm base pen, battle rating 4.7. Can you stop? There we go, 42. I was looking at the wrong one. I'm terribly sorry, guys. Not redoing this. Okay, cool, awesome. Next up, we get the ZSU 57-2. Nothing really different about this. Same one as you would find with the Russian lineup, of course. You do get the BR4 281U. No proxy rounds, 7.0. It kind of is what it is. Did you know that this thing used to be 7.7? Yeah, it was pretty nuts back then. Now it's a lot better. And of course, I already gave this away. The ZSU 23-4. That's right. Now I was going to say Switch for some reason. Now Israel gets this. Beautiful. I didn't know they captured this, to be honest. I know this is a captured vehicle. I know it is. I just didn't know they had it, which is interesting, right? Nothing different about this. Thank you for the follow on Twitch, by the way. Very much. You do get, of course, night vision device. Nothing else. This is a ZSU 23-4. That is it. So there you have it. That was everything I could find. I'm pretty sure I missed something. I know I missed some new models. I'm sure there's plenty of vehicles out there that have brand new models that I just either don't have time to look for or I just wasn't able to really find them. I know the Abrams did get a new engine sound as well as a new sound to its main gun. So trust me, when you fire this thing, it sounds really, really pretty. And yes, I am fully aware there are some vehicles that are missing. Guys, this is the first dev server, although I think we might see some of that new stuff a little bit later down the line, as this dev server is going to stay up until this following Wednesday. And so this is where I leave it off to you guys. What do you think about this new update? I know this update is kind of lacking. Guys, Gaijin does this every single year where they release 2 major updates before the year is out. We're going to be getting an event that goes into January, sometime around early December or mid to early December, which is kind of the norm. So this is only half of a major big update we would otherwise get. So please kind of be patient. Understand that a lot of this is also copy-paste. I know, it's another copy-paste Abrams for the most part. Copy-paste vehicles for Sweden with Finland. That's just kind of how the world works in real life. People buy vehicles from other nations or take existing previous stocks and buy them at a good discount, sometimes for free too. Yeah. So with all that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy this little talking head video. Let me know exactly what you guys think about this down in the comment section below. And while you're down there, if you want to bypass or swing by, that description, I do have my 3% discount link. So if you buy Golden Eagles, if you buy anything in the War Thunder store, use that link. It supports me by giving me that 3%. You get 3% off and you get my in-game decal. What is not to love, right? Cool. Anyways, I'm very well-winded. So again, thank you so much for checking this out. And I will see you not only in the next video or even the streams, but in War Thunder itself. So happy grinding.